Sonic the Hedgehog's Shao Garden appears to be coming to Fortnite as the Sprite Garden in Chapter 7 Season 4 Overdrive, so let's go ahead and tell you everything you need to know about this new generation of sprites because they'll be returning once again in the next Battle Royale season. They go on to mention that the next season will introduce a whole new generation of sprites to master and collect, including new powers and variants. Some of the sprites we had leaked and mentioned before were stuff like a Midas sprite, where whenever you open up a chest you had a chance of getting the Gold Rush effect, where you kind of swung your pickaxe faster, everything you hit and broke actually drop some golden bars on the ground, and there's other effects such as that. There's even kind of like a Spider-Man Brand New Day sprite in the works. It might be something we actually see during the mini story moment event, I'm not entirely for sure, but it kind of has the sprite benefit of Spidey senses in a sprite form. Now they go on to mention that there will also be quality of life improvements based on our feedback and new ways to discover sprites in and out of your games. They've been speculating and kind of theorizing how they wanted to go ahead and put sprites in modes like Lego Fortnite, in, more into Reload, Blitz, all those other modes, so this next season could be one of those ways in order to get it, in Battle Royale, but also imagine if you see cute little sprites running around and over in your Lego Fortnite worlds. They mentioned that sprites you collected in Chapter 7 Season 3 runners will be immortalized in the new Sprite Garden. Of course, you saw the image a moment ago, which this is an island getaway created by Fairview Portals and Beyond Creative, where you can play with your sprites, visit friends' garden sanctuaries, and showcase your entire collection. As you gather sprites in Chapter 7 Season 4, you'll actually have them immediately added to your garden as well. This also includes collaboration sprites, so every single sprite you've gotten, the John Wick sprite, the Batman sprites, including variants like the Cube Batman sprite, the normal Gold Earth sprite, any of these sprites you see in this menu right here will be immortalized in that garden. And to be honest here, this was kind of always the plan. There's an image you can see on screen right now of an early development build of the collection system for Fortnite, aka the Sprite system, and instead of having collection and rewards, the original tab was going to be this season and collection. So originally the rewards is kind of like an afterthought for the system, but when they were first working on everything, they were actually going to have it where you would see the current season's Sprite tab over on the left and everything like this normal menu right here, and then instead of clicking rewards and seeing the rewards menu, you would click collections and view all of your previous season's collections as well. So that was like an early version of it, but now they're moving it over into the Sprite Garden system. They go on to also mention that your Season 3 sprites will live on in this new garden as unlocked styles in the Sprite Mastery Pod Backbling and pilots in the Guardian outfit, and missing sprites from stuff like the actual Pod Backbling, such as Iron Mouse, such as I think like the golden gym versions of llamas and stuff like that, and even the Cube sprites and the Quack variants will be added to that Backbling in the next game update. They mentioned that you'll actually be able to have the Sprite Collection page alongside this new generation, so this page right here will still exist and it will still show kind of like the next set of sprites, but it's something where if you want to see the old sprites, you're gonna have to go to that garden, but maybe they could revive the collections tab so you can actually see it in this menu as well. They also go on to mention that sprites from past generations may return later down the line, which adds another shot of adding them to your roster and flexing their tiny sprite muscles in Battle Royale again. So let's say you missed out on, let's just go with the Grim sprites, like let's say you missed out on the Gym Grim sprite. Epic Games could in the future decide we don't want to make a new sprite variant for this update, so we're returning the Gym Grim, right? We could have all the gym variants from last season active at the start of the next season, so that anyone who missed out on these, since they were only active for the kind of like the very end of that season, will still have an opportunity to get them, which is pretty nice to see. Now on top of this, new sprites will be added to the actual Chapter 7 Season 4 update as mid-season updates, and these are all community aspect sprites. They're stuff made in the Design a Sprite contest, and we have the Bullet Sprite by Interroll, we have the Dumpster Dive Sprite by Stinky Princess Goose, we have the Honey Sprite by Conejito Sam, I might have butchered that, I apologize. We have ourselves the Pawn Sprite by Pine and Kitty, and then we have the X-Ray Sprite by Avilia215. Now the X-Ray Sprite was actually something that was on Reddit, or actually no, it was on TikTok, and it got a lot of love because it was just kind of like this kid, drawing a little sprite that he thought would look cool for the game, and he actually managed to win, which I think is pretty cool. So it's nice to see the community aspect go beyond just having really good art skills, but also just the wholesome aspect on it, right? The fun aspect of collecting sprites and getting them in the game. It reminds me of like the early days when we got the Orange Justice Dance, because everyone wanted that one kid to win the actual like dance competition. Epic Games goes on, however, to say that we should be on the lookout for announcements on boosted drop rate days, surprise power hours, and new quests to round out your collection for the rest of the runner season. Aiming to master every variant of the duck or chase down a Grim to pilot your guardian? Well, now's the time to complete your set before a new generation rolls in, and they go on to mention that as a housekeeping note, your gizmos and sprite dust will reset when the season ends, while we roll out everything new in the next season. So if you have 200,000 sprite dust, you might as well go trade some of your sprites to your friends, share the love, give people the sprites, risk them in real matches or whatever else, because you're going to go back to zero. As you can see right here, I'm at 64,800 because I've been given some of my friends who, didn't have all of the sprites collected, or they weren't at 117, the sprites, so they don't have to worry about the long grind of trying to find every single Grim in 0 point, because to be honest, on my own, the only Grim or 0 point sprite I found was this one, the holofoil Grim sprite, and I only found that through a lucky locator. So it is something that's been a little bit interesting to see, but it's going to be cool to see how sprites evolve in the next season and how they kind of keep it going for a few chapters or maybe just a few seasons without it getting overly stale or anything like that. I do like how it's basically like a cuter version of augments or medallions or boss boons or whatever else, because that's what these literally are. They're just equipable medallions in a way, because all the effects are really just medallion buffs and everything, or augment buffs, and it's going to be nice to see how they actually improve all these menus and if we end up getting any more rewards later down the line. Now, something I do hope they add in the next update, in the next season, everything else, is the ability to sort by mastered or not mastered. So if I wanted just the not mastered ones to be at the top, I wish I could do that, because sure, sorting by lowest level is a possibility here, but it doesn't really tell you which ones are mastered or not, because I have like a mastered level 1 Galaxy Loot and Llama, and in my case, everything's mastered, but I would like if I had an option prioritize specific variants, or if I had an option prioritize, mastery or not mastery, just to kind of get rid of those sprites in the next season a little bit quicker. Let me know in the comments down below, however, what do you think about Fortnite Sprite Garden coming to the game? Will you be hanging out in the garden, maybe viewing your friends kind of like flexing who has the better looking garden or something, or how you missed out on the burnt peanut sprite so you don't have it in your garden? How will you be treating your garden this season, or will you just not care? Will you just play Battle Royale regardless and not even look in the garden area? Without further ado, however, hope you champs and champettes enjoyed today's YouTube video. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow with another upload. So until then, peace out.